Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Married 10 years, wife cheating, and confronted her. So I'm looking for some frank advice here. My wife and I have been married for 10 years, we have 3 children, and we have a wonderful relationship. Up until approximately 3 days ago, she was my best friend. My phone was using a large quantity of data. It turned out to be a mobile app. It's not a huge deal. When I pick up the consumption statistics, though, it automatically pulls up phone calls first. At 2 a.m., I notice a 4 to 5 minute phone call to an unknown number. So I search up the number, how many calls, how long, and so on. It turns out that there have been 37 calls to this number, 25 of which had come after I had fallen asleep in bed. Many of them around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m. she was accosted by me. She has a new, excellent, work with a highly clever employer whom she admires, and made this clear to me. I've always had faith in her. All of her phone calls were to her employer. He called only 3 or 4 times. She said that everything they discussed was work-related. I insisted on it many times. Regardless, I know some of the evenings we had a few toddies, weekends. She again lied to me 2 months ago when she stated she went jogging alone at 5:30 a.m. She did, but he eventually showed there and said that he couldn't run that early. It's not a huge thing since she told me she was jogging with him, but when she came back, she maintained he hadn't even shown up. So what's the point of lying about it? It's very strange. I confronted her about it, and she said that she loves me and only has affections for me, and that she would not ruin her and his careers by cheating. She is more concerned about what she might lose than with how much she loves me. He has a high-end sports vehicle and is married with 2 children. My wife told him he needed to send her conference updates while he was on business. He eventually sends her a photo of a $750K automobile he is considering purchasing. She shows me, but it's still strange that he's texting this to his employee, right? Aside from that, she disabled messaging on her iPad and her home computer. She also reset the passwords for this account. I'd forced her to show me the text she had sent to him, since she had deleted them all. So, what now? Was she also having a physical affair? She states unequivocally that it was all about business. I would remark that she is to school and learning, which is not surprising. But the fact that he was responsive to her calls in the middle of the night is troubling. Update 4 days after I discovered. We've been conversing for a few days now, and squabbling, and so forth. She says that she loves me, that she has only loved me, and that she will always love me. Nothing physical ever occurred. That the new job had gotten her worked up, that someone might have killed if she had put the incorrect item in, and that she contacted him late one night to make sure what she'd done was correct. This resulted in multiple late-night calls. She confesses to calling, but claims she never emotionally cheated since it was for business. She has no affections for him, and the relationship has been and continues to be strictly business. That's okay. I am rational, and this seems to be fair. She willingly handed me her iPhone and instructed me to put spyware on it. I informed her that I would be retrieving all of the communications, and she agreed it was great. So, am I being too dramatic? But why would they be erased if they weren't incriminating? She claimed she didn't believe I'd like it if I found out she was messaging him. I said 1. Do you think I'd prefer to find out you deleted all of the messages? 2. Why should I worry if it was all professional? She's apologized about 1,000,000 times and promised it won't happen again, but I can't get over the messages being erased. It'll be interesting to see whether she deleted them when I phoned her at work to inquire about the number. If she deleted them immediately after I phoned, the texts will very certainly be damning. Update 2. I apologized for not updating in a long time. This is terrible. As a result, the texting persisted. The phone calls ceased. So, without going into too much detail, since this could go on forever, she continued to get messages from him for the previous 7 months. He sent her a few of texts asking if he could purchase her lingerie and complimenting her on her physique. She responded by text message. Don't put me to the test, she said. He said, I'd love to put you to the test. Throughout the night, everything was rescued by me. We still had a terrific relationship, love yous, kisses every morning, and while this was going on. They then attended a seminar together a few weeks ago. When I phoned, she hung up. Then she phoned him from her room to his room, so it wouldn't show up on phone records. Detail here. He contacted her from a mobile phone that didn't belong to him, so I couldn't trace it. He comes there. I also have the whole audio for this. When she arrived home, I listened. She froze like an ice cube. I couldn't believe what was going on and how much I knew. Things got a little hairy. No violence, just yelling and screaming. I walked away. She spent a few days with her parents' children. She returned, willing to work things out. Counseling was agreed upon. I'm a freaking disaster. I'm at a loss on what to do. I adore her. I think she's my soulmate. She said that they had both messed up and that they were here making things happen together, with the thrill and rush of it all, yada yada. But he's a predator. They continue to collaborate, albeit far less. What the heck am I going to do? He claims to have informed his wife, but I've seen the chats, and it looks he didn't tell her everything, like the part where they have, which is pretty clear on the audio. Story 2. She confessed, now we are done. My wife, 34 female, and I have been married for over 12 years. Our lives, like everyone else's, have been flipped upside down and then placed on wait for the past year. My wife has been very heavily impacted. She had been laid off from her sales job for many months. After years of working for a huge financial firm, I am now a day trader. I made a good job but was always anxious, so I decided to put what I'd learned to use. I worked from home, so we were constantly on top of one another. This sparked a slew of debates. Our marriage was harmed. My wife was summoned back to work in March for a new role, which I urged her to pursue. Her employment would need travel. After just a few weeks, she was very dissatisfied. She despised not being at home. I believed she hadn't given it enough time to make me despise it. We had a disagreement over it. I had already done fairly well financially before we married. I had many six-figure sums in the bank. The case, she got a windfall. So for my second marriage, I insisted on a prenup with a sizable compensation if we divorced. There was a lot in there, but to summarize, adultery on her part would violate the prenup and result in a 5-figure payoff. She returned home after a vacation at the end of March. Her demeanor seemed wrong. I inquired as to her well-being. She said that everything was good, but that she despised her work. She stated we needed to chat the following day. She informed me that she had an ONS. Her remarks, she said, described the day as the second customer canceled on her, causing her to miss her day off. She contacted her remaining contacts to reschedule their appointments. They weren't bothered by it at all. The man who canceled phoned and said he'd meet up after work. She didn't want this person to be upset, so she asked him to a business dinner at her hotel. They were supposed to meet at the pub for a drink and then go out to dinner. She walks up to the bar and requests a drink. She waits and waits, but he never shows up. She left a few messages. She placed another drink order. Her day had begun as a and was now finishing as one. She didn't have lunch since her timetable had been rearranged. Her second drink had a strong effect on her. A man walks into the bar, orders a drink, and begins chatting. He was also in sales, so they could relate to how awful some customers can be. They continued to consume alcohol. She claims she had no clue how many cocktails she had consumed. He walked or carried her to her room, she recalls. When they arrive, she collapses into the bed and passes out. She awakens to see him caressing her hair as he sits up in bed. Things progressed, clothing were removed, and they had intercourse. So she admits, I am heartbroken. I'm enraged. I'm sobbing. Because of how my previous marriage ended, cheating is a deal breaker for me. I wasn't thinking about the prenuptial agreement at the time. I told her I needed to reflect on what had transpired. I was gone for a week. She was back on the road on Monday. On Monday, I scheduled a meeting with my attorney on Tuesday. We discussed the prenuptial agreement. He said that if we split, she would get the large compensation, even if there was no evidence. My word vs hers. Tuesday night, I phoned her. I told her I've forgiven her. I told her I was turned on by it after thinking about it. Another guy having with her and me knowing was exciting me, I remarked. She apologized once again and promised that it would never happen again. I asked her to do it again, video it, and email it to me. There are no captions or messages. While viewing the video, I would phone her and off. Perhaps one day I'll be in the room watching. She laughed, but added that she may be able to build up to it, but don't depend on it. This so thrilled her that I forgave her but expressed qualms about filming. We discussed this new kink. I informed her that I had no idea it was in me to think this way. She contacts me on Wednesday and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well, I would obtain my desire. I got a video of her banging some man at 2 a.m. this morning. I contacted her about 7 a.m. to express my gratitude for the video. I asked the receptionist at my attorney's office at 9 a.m. if I may see him. I needed him to notice something vile, and asks if I want her to do this. Yes, I said right away. She promised that if everything went well,